everyone, and karibuni sana to the Africa Media Festival podcast. For those who were not able to attend the festival or the sessions during the festival, this podcast will bring you highlights featuring some of the speakers and participants. My name is Njeri Wangari, and I will be your host. Please follow us on Africa Media Festival on Instagram, X, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We really look forward to seeing you in the next edition. Bye. Hello, hi, we are at the Africa Media Festival. My name is Njeri Wangari, and welcome to the Africa Media Festival podcast. I am joined by a friend of mine. Her name is Njeri. I'll ask her to introduce herself, and she'll tell us what she does and the session she just attended.
Awesome. So thank you, Njeri. My name is Njeri Wangari. I am a storyteller, writer, freelance journalist, and the founder of Afrokidz, which is an organization that seeks to tell more children's stories by different ways, digitizing content for children, organizing events, book reading events, and storytelling events for children. And we also produce a children's storytelling podcast.
Fantastic. Yes. So which session did you attend?
So I'm just from attending a session called How to Produce a Narrative Podcast. I'm not very sure about the title, but that is what it was about. And I think it's something that I have always wanted to do. So what I didn't mention is that I have two podcasts. One has been pending. It's sort of in the back burner. And the reason being, it's called the Kenyan Poets Podcast.
Okay.
And after producing 2 seasons, I felt that I wanted to take the podcast in a different direction. It was a podcast that was looking at the arts and culture space in Kenya, and it was a more interview-based kind of podcasting. And I felt I wasn't drawing rich stories, and I wanted to get to be more to sort of draw more stories from the people that I was interviewing.
Okay.
And I felt that the interview style podcasting wasn't doing that. Then I got to learn about narrative podcasting. I think one of the first narrative podcasts that I listened to was I'm forgetting the name. It's an American production that I listened to during COVID, and I loved the way that they were going about it. And I was like, this is what I want to do.
Okay.
So when I got to learn when I got the program for the media festival, and I saw that there's a workshop on how to produce a narrative podcast. I was like, I have to go for that. So I am from that session. It was as I expected.
Okay, fantastic.
It was really engaging. I love the way that those who were running the workshop, the way that they began the introduction about who they are, the work that they do, and then they delved right into the actual workshop of, this is a podcast that we produced. This is the reason why we thought of producing that. They went through the whole process of from identifying something and how they went about sourcing for a good story. Where do you find these stories? How do you source for these stories? And they told us, this is how we found. So they were talking about this Nigerian teacher who decided to attempt a Guinness World Record. Guinness World Record on the longest reading time. Okay. So he wanted to do non-stop reading of books for, I think, about 145 hours, if I'm not wrong. And so they got to... So that alone wasn't the story because it had already been covered by mainstream media. But then they were like, we want to sort of find the story. And so they took us through the process of what it takes to actually produce a narrative podcast. And I found that to be very amazing.
I found that very interesting. Yes. And so this was helpful to you and what you were looking for. And now we're going to get a podcast from you, finally.
Well, I have the skills now. I have the motivation. I know that it can be done. So now I'm actually from just talking to the teams that they can tell me if I wanted to do it, the resources, where do I get the resources? And I'm really glad I got the contact from one of the panelists.
Okay.
And yes,
fantastic. Fantastic.
I am really hoping that when everything comes together, that now I can be able to sort of do season 3 of Kenyan Poet Podcast, but as a narrative podcast.
As a narrative podcast.
Yes.
Fantastic. You see, these are the things we're doing at Africa Media Festival. Thank you so much for joining us for this interview. And I really hope to see you in the next edition of Africa Media Festival. Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye.
Hello, everyone, and karibuni sana to the Africa Media Festival podcast. For those who were not able to attend the festival or the sessions during the festival, this podcast will bring you highlights featuring some of the speakers and participants. My name is Njeri Wangari, and I will be your host. Please follow us on Africa Media Festival on Instagram, X, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We really look forward to seeing you in the next edition. Bye.